Hi, hello, and welcome. I am definitely not Lad, and you're watching me pug my way to 2.8k rating. Right now, what we're working on is we are going to get a Vortex Pinnacle done. We've already done the dungeon and had a full commentary through the run. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly edit through it, and maybe show some highlights if there's anything interesting that happens. But other than that, I'm basically going to jump through all of the dungeons I'm doing until I get to a Halls of Infusion. The reason I'm mentioning Halls of Infusion is because I'd like to commentate through the entire dungeon, because I've done that for everything except for Halls of Infusion so far. So hopefully we do get it in this gaming session. So the reason we're doing plus 10 keys is because I still have a lot of veteran pieces of gear, which I would like to replace with champion pieces of gear. Another reason why we're doing this is because we need the Drake's Shadow Flame crest fragments to make the crests, and those drop, the highest key level that those drop from is 10s. So we're going to be doing 10s in order to get the gear we need and the crests we need. Doing a quick Vortex Pinnacle. Hopefully we get a necklace. Oh no, I didn't have I thought I had the wild charge, but I didn't. Whoopsie daisy. Not bad at all. Maybe somebody got... Oh, we need that, Nick. I'm assuming they do, because they're pretty undergeared. No, they don't actually. They have haste versatility. They're gonna trade it to me. Do I get a neck upgrade? Can I stop using a green? Do I get to stop using a green? Oh, thanks so much. Massive upgrade. That's amazing. Thank you very much, Judy. Druidy, I would say. Yeah. See ya. Awesome. So the jewelry dungeon netted us some actual jewelry. Hell yeah. Not amazing stats, to be completely honest, but I'll take the massive increase in stamina. Oh, that gives us Draconically Epic. Look at that. Alrighty, another Neltharion's Lair. We're going to use the little skippy skip thing that you can do. Save a couple of seconds, you know, that's massive in those plus 10 keys we do. Oof, that was a bit rough. People didn't know what to do on the last boss. But I'll take it. I don't need these wrists. Does anyone need these wrists? Maybe the monk might need them. Let's see who wins. 69? Dude, I gotta win with a 69 roll, right? Hey, ya boy got the roll. 69 wins the fucking Mark of Dark rule. This guy doesn't even know what he's missing. Does he have one? No. He has two. Okay, I mean, I guess those are good for him. I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't want to use Mark of Dark rule. I, however, will take an improvement of my Mark of Dark rule. I have one that's Adventurer tier. So this is a massive upgrade for me. I'm quite happy with that. Look at that. Adventurer 411. That's 8 out of 8 Adventurer, by the way. And it's going to go up to 415, 1 out of 8 Champion. So this is going to be a very, very nice upgrade once we have it all the way to 437. And next key is Halls of Infusion. I'm going to drop that to a 10, and we're going to go do it. Hopefully after that we get an Underrot, and then we can get every key to plus 10 on this week. Alright, we're doing a Halls of Infusion. Had a bit of a break since the last dungeon I did, which I think was the Neltharion's Lair, where I got a Mark of Dark Rule upgrade. I've also, in the meantime, installed Omni CD, so that I can better track my group's cooldowns. That's going to take some getting used to make sure that I actually utilize that properly. Somehow I did the most damage there? That something's wrong. Something ain't working right here. There's no way I did the most damage there. Maybe it's that Mark of Dark rule coming in strong. I doubt it. I doubt that's the case. We're going to use our AoE CC here. I failed. I think my global was on cooldown. But yeah, in these pulls, what matters is the top priority is interrupting the orbs when they cast expulse. That will do a lot of damage. The secondary priority is interrupting the Refty defenders. The defenders basically, the demoralizing shout reduces the damage that the group does by 25% per shout, I think. So if you have 2 shouts go off, you're doing 50% less damage for a while. I think it even stacks to 3 if there's 3 defenders, depending on what you're pulling. We're going to use... Yeah, we have plenty of CC between the group. This is going to be a good, smooth run. And we also seem to have plenty of damage, so that's wonderful. I'm going to enjoy this run. This pull's pretty easy because there's no orbs. The orbs target random players and deal a crap ton of damage to them with the beam. Going to CC that. Okay, we got sleepwalking on it. That's very good. Thank you, Evoker. The Evoker's kicking butt as well. I believe he's doing quite well. There's these jumps to look out for. Nothing spectacular. Just don't stand in the swirly. And here we're going to do a massive pull, because what I see is we have some cooldowns going. I'm going to stand over here so we line of sight these. I'm going to drop my Ursul's Vortex down. I'm going to use some personal cooldowns. Going to knock everything back because I saw some cast bars. We have some AoE CC coming in as well. I'm going to use my offensive cooldowns here, which is Incarnation. How did you not get pulled by with the rest of the group earlier? Okay, we got that fear just in time. I'm going to interrupt that expulse. I can't let those go through. I'm okay with letting the demoralizing shouts go through, but I really don't want the expulses to go through because that's a lot of damage. I think that's going to die before the expulse goes through. Very good. As a tank, what you can also do, and what you probably should do, is when they do the spear flurry, or whatever it's called, you can actually move, because they're just going to keep hitting the same direction constantly. Now for this boss, what's important is killing the ads very fast. At super high keys, you're just never going to kill the ads fast enough, but you still want to kill them as quickly as possible. We bullet put 2. Okay. Or right away. But the idea is usually you want to Bloodlust on P2. As a tank, you want to make sure that Frontal doesn't go at the group. And you can also, once he starts casting it, move and not get hit by it. The boss starts at 50%, so having an Arms Warrior here is pretty good. Fury Warrior isn't bad either, but Arms Warrior really gets the full benefit. I unfortunately didn't move out of that. I'm pretty bad at that. As DPS, you want to make sure you stand, you get away when you have the power overload on you, because you'll drop those big puddles. Now, when the ads come at 15% boss health, or rather at 15% boss health, the boss will move towards the center of the room and begin siphoning the thingy thing from over there. There we go, he's doing it right now. My job right now is to make sure that we group these ads up as quickly as possible. I'm going to kick that, I'm going to CC it, I'm going to taunt this, and try to group them up. Once they die, once 3 ads die and leave this circle on the ground, what ends up happening is they will dispel a stack of the buff that the boss has. Once the boss loses all of his stacks, he's going to stop siphoning. 16 stacks is quite a bit. I don't think we had any offensive cooldowns available from the team to help kill those ads a bit faster. But what these 16 stacks do is basically they increase the size of the pools that you drop when you're power overloaded, and it also increases the damage that the boss does by that percentage. I believe it's 16% more damage, which is quite a bit in later levels. I'm going to give people movement speed to get away from this. That guy is probably just going to drop it right in the middle of the group, so we're going to have to move everything like this, which is extremely unfortunate. That person should have moved, but of course it was the guy who said he was a twink, or sorry, not a twink, but a smurf or whatever. I really don't like, I should probably just kick people that say shit like that, because they're usually bad players. And okay, those guys have it. They're moving away, they're doing the right call. And now they move back. And the boss is dead. On higher difficulties, this boss is a nightmare. It used to be even harder, because 3 people would get the debuff, so you would have 3 people that had to move away, usually all of them DPS. And you would get less uptime on your DPS, which would end up with the boss taking longer to kill, which ends up making the boss harder. Because the longer you have to fight any boss, the harder it becomes to just keep maintaining all of that. Your healers start going and people get fatigued and can't keep focusing, and you run out of cooldowns to use. We're going to CC that once it comes out. We really want to make sure we get these kicks. On Fortified, kicking these guys is extremely important because they will just straight up one-shot your group if you're at a high enough Fortified key and you let those casts go through. They are purgeable. You can dispel them as a priest, or you can purge them as a, as a shaman. But ideally, you would not let them get any auto attacks, or rather, you would not let them get the cast off, because what the cast does basically is it turns their auto attacks into giant AoEs. I'm going to put this down so people can actually let the frogs go. There we go. Okay, we have a knockback from the evoker. The frogs, when they auto attack you, they will auto attack random people. They will fixate. And what they will do is basically they will put on stacks of a poison debuff. That poison debuff, when it reaches 10 stacks and you get hit again, okay, the priest wants me to keep going. That's fair. When the when the stack hits 10 debuffs, if you get hit one more time, you're going to die. So you want to make sure that you either dispel it or that you kite them around so that you don't have to deal with that. The pace of this dungeon is a bit rapid. I'm not really enjoying it right now, because I'm trying to also explain what's happening in the dungeon and why I'm doing the things I'm doing. Kick that Dazzle. Oh, I probably didn't need to knock that back. That was probably a DPS loss, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to give everyone a speed up. Whew, boy. This is a rapid paced dungeon, so I'm not able to actually commentate the way I would like to. I'm not really having a good time. I have Incapacitating Roar. I can kick one and CC two. They usually go, okay, we're going to get that knock up. I'm going to use my Incapacitating Roar for the last one, and we're good. We don't have to worry about the Shock Troopers getting their casts off. That's very good. I'm looking at the defensive cooldowns of the group right now in Omni-CD, and what I would actually like to see is their offensive cooldowns so that I know when I can do a big pull and I can't do a big pull. So that's something I need to adjust, because I literally just installed it right before this run. Right now these defensive cooldowns are basically useless to me. The priest used a fear on these guys. These guys can't be feared. I probably should not have kicked that Pyretic Burn or whatever. I should have saved my interrupt for a, for the heal, which I think is called Cauterize. There it is. I do have my interrupt back off cooldown, so it's not a big deal. What the fire guy does, or fire gal does, I believe it's a female dwarf, is those two spells that we've been interrupting, and it also randomly roots a character and then drops a giant swirly on their head. If you don't do anything, you will still have enough time to move out of the swirly, even if you let the root go through fully. So it's not a big deal. I'm not a fan of being yoinked around like a toy by this priest, let me tell you that. So for this boss, it does this overpowering croak or whatever it's called. That drops these swirlies. You don't want to stand in those, and then you have the swoglets, which will attempt to get to whoever they're fixating. What you want to do is you want to kite these swoglets into that gulp ability that we saw, and as a tank, you want to stand in the gulp ability, because if there is no player in the gulp ability when it goes off, the boss gets an enrage, and it actually makes it do more damage. I don't need this range check. I don't know why that's on the middle of my screen. Just realized there was something bothering me, and I couldn't understand what it was until I realized it was the freaking range check. I was like, what is wrong with my UI? Okay, so the first time the gulp comes right after the boss drops the swoglets. The second time around, it actually takes longer for the gulp to go off. He does Toxic Efflusion, and then he does the gulp. Here we've killed the ads so quickly that it doesn't even matter that the thing isn't going off right after the ads drop. But in higher difficulties, the ads will live long enough to actually be an issue, especially on Tyrannical. So what you usually end up doing, and with more coordinated groups, is you make everyone drop their swirlies at the same spot, so people stack up so that the swirlies all stack on a corner, and you move the boss far away from the
far enough away from those swirlies so that by the time the frogs reach the group, you move together. By the time the mobs reach the group, the gulp is ready to go off and goes off and just eats all the mobs. As a DPS, you want to use your personal cooldowns when your personal defensive cooldowns when the overpowering croak goes off, because that actually does more damage than the whatchamacallits, toxic efflusion. I used to use it on toxic efflusion until I realized that that was the case, that the croak did more damage. Alright, we're gonna give everyone movement speed. The priest is running ahead. Hopefully he doesn't. Yeah, he pulled me. He sure did. We're gonna do a nice big juicy pull here where we pull absolutely everything. We're gonna take 2 dragons because this priest clearly wants big pulls, so I'm going to give him 1 big pull, and I'm gonna stand in the breath, so I'm not gonna move out of him. See how he likes that. Okay, there's his MD. He walks into the breath. Oh, hey, look. The priest that keeps wanting big pulls can't handle big pulls. It's almost like I know how big I should pull. Here you want to make sure that you're not standing in the big circles. The Earth Shakers are the ones, the big Tauren NPCs are the ones that actually do the circles. So you want to make sure you're not standing in those. We have Deep Chill going off. We're gonna battle res the warrior, I guess. He is doing exceptional DPS. For some reason I'm doing the highest DPS. This is confusing. I really shouldn't be doing the highest DPS. I need to double check what's happening. Okie dokie, there we go. But yeah, with these fights, I guess I should commentate a bit more about this instead of just commenting on the group and being salty about the priest. Okay, we pulled these as well, I guess. That's a bit much, but we'll deal with it. So what the dragons do is called Deep Chill. It does damage and applies a debuff to everyone within range. And what you can do to prevent that is you can give people freedom, a blessing of freedom, and that'll prevent them from having it even applied to them. So if you're a paladin, you can do that. I'm struggling here because I had to move in a way that I didn't want to move because the paladin or the warrior keeps standing in front of the dragon, keeps getting hit by, or almost getting hit by, the frickin' breath. But that's what you get, you know, when you invite a smurf to your group. They do every single thing wrong. Okay. But yeah, the big thing is to, as tank, have defensive cooldowns running while the when the breath is about to hit you, and making sure that you don't face it. Why is this guy pulling me? You have no mana, and this is a fucking healer boss. I really don't like this group. I'm getting very salty. Hopefully it's not just me, and it's actually obvious that people are doing something wrong. The healer pulled it with 10% mana, or the healer wanted me to pull with 10% mana. Here, that was a mistake. You want to make sure that you're standing in such a way, as DPS, you want to make sure you're standing in such a way that if the thingy thing with the stuffy stuff, I'm going to have to CC this. That if the tornado goes off and targets you, it doesn't hit any of the areas, or any of the, what are they called, the little crystals on the ground. Especially you don't want it to hit these crystals that don't have any cracks in them, because you have to hide behind those when the boss does whatever the heck it's called, the one that you have to hide from. Hailstorm, I believe. Like right now you need to hide, so you're supposed to stand over here. There's a lot to explain, and I'm being flustered because this group is not exactly performing the way I expect them to. I don't know why the healer insisted on me pulling when they don't have enough mana to keep everyone alive. They're kind of struggling. I'm going to interrupt that, and then I'm going to, oh, it's sleepwalk, so I don't have to do anything. Very good, thank you, Evoker. Let's see where the next tornado goes. It's going to go in this direction 100%. Oh, we got lucky, it didn't go in that direction. The Evoker didn't kill us all. Not that he would have killed us all, it would have given us movement speed, it would have hidden behind that one. There's the hailstorm. Give everyone a big heal here. I should point out that the glacial thing, you move out and then you move back in. That's the kind of idea. It forms new crystals for you to hide behind. I'm going to CC. Okay, they're all CC'd. I don't have to do anything. We got lucky again. It didn't target this one. Or rather, it didn't target a person that was standing in front of that one. Boss is almost dead. Okay, people are hiding there, further away. That's perfectly fine. They can do that as well if they really want to. Again, sorry, I feel like I'm like stuttering and stopping and not explaining everything I want to explain because I'm extremely flustered by this priest and whoever it was that kept pulling shit when I wasn't ready to pull it. There was a reason I don't pull things when I'm not ready for it. It's because I'm going to die if I don't take a break or stop and pull less. The reason I'll die is because I don't have the cooldowns I need to survive the fight that's going to happen if I pull everything at that point in time. But it is a plus 10 key, and I guess people think they're stronger than they are. Oh look, our warrior Smurf is standing in the swirlies, or not the swirlies, what would you call these? I guess waves. Okay, I'll go next because there's no casters left and these guys can finish off the mobs that are there. I'm going to pull the two Ragers, and I'll use Incarnation. Now here for this gauntlet, basically what happens is these waves keep coming down on random sides. If you're standing right behind this, you will not get hit by the waves. As a tank, ideally you would stand here and you'd let the DPS move over left and right. That way you can stand still and you can make sure that the breath doesn't ever hit anyone. Right. I can actually remove the rage buff from the Aqua Ragers. I'm going to use Barkskin here to survive this breath. It didn't really do as much damage as I thought it would, but then again it is tyrannical. Oh, I almost went the wrong way. Don't pull me into the freaking wave. Thank you. I get that this priest is trying to help me move around quicker, but I really don't need him to pull me into the wave almost. I don't think his intention was to pull me into the wave, but that's just really getting annoying. Like, you're not helping me, you're just annoying me. I'm very salty this run, but hopefully... Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm too sensitive. This warrior is also just really trying to be super cool in top DPS. He mentioned, like, very braggadociously that, oh, I did, you know, a plus 17 Neltharion's Lair, as if that's supposed to be some ridiculously high key. Maybe he's very, I mean, he should be proud of that. That's a rough key if you're a new player and if you're just learning the game. That's a really rough key, especially on Fortified. On Fortified, Neltharion's Lair is a nightmare because it's just not balanced well. But yeah, enough blaming the team. Imagine if this warrior, like, randomly just finds my video on YouTube and he listens to me flame him. I'm sorry, dude. But you were flexing pretty hard for someone who keeps getting hit by every single mechanic. Okay, we have a sleepwalk on that. I don't have to worry about it. Let's see if the priest goes and pulls me around again instead of drinking water. He might not have water. A lot of healers in lobby dungeons don't have any water available. They like just don't buy any, so they can't even sit down and drink. All right, we're waiting for this, and then I'll explain what we do in this fight.
3, 2, 1.
My healer doesn't even have anything to drink. Heck it, we're gonna pop all our cooldowns and go to town. So what you want to do on this fight as a tank is what I'll talk about. There is an ability called Squall Buffet. What it does basically is it knocks you back, and there it is. What you want to do is you want to make sure that there's nothing behind you, like none of these infused globules are behind you while you're getting hit by that. And then you want to use a big defensive cooldown or a big self heal, like Frenzied Regen, when you're getting hit by the Deluge. As a prot warrior, you can actually spell reflect both the Squall buff, both the Squall Buffet and the infusion thing, Deluge thing, I should say. I'm trying to CC this. There we go. I managed to. What you should reflect as a warrior is the focus deluge, because it does ridiculous amounts of damage. So if you manage to spell reflect that, you're gonna do quite well on the damage meters, let's put it that way. Oh, I'm gonna get hit by that if I go that way. Whew, that was a close call. Here what you want to do is you want to interrupt these and group them up and make sure that you kick their inundates. So that's what we're going to do. This one's rooted so he can't come over. But we want to incapacitating roar that. Hopefully someone knocks this. I'm going to try and knock them back like so. They're sleepwalking. Guess I'll interrupt this and I'll knock this back. There's nothing I can do to this last one. I just don't have any CC. I'm going to interrupt this. Hopefully someone uses some CC on him. I'm going to interrupt this to stop infusing. What infusion does is increases the boss's damage, so you really want to try and interrupt these as best you can. The inundates are being interrupted because they just do a lot of damage to the group. I think they scale with tyrannical, so on tyrannical you want to definitely make sure that those don't go off. On fortified it's a bit of less of a pain, but as you get to the really high key levels you want to interrupt them no matter what. There are the infused globules. I'm going to move over here where there's no globules behind me. Also, another thing that I should point out, as tank, you really want to make sure that you're standing on top of the boss at all times, because if there's nobody in melee, like if the tank isn't in melee range, he will auto attack some random person that's close enough to hit for him to auto attack. I don't know what he does if there's nobody in melee range. I haven't seen that happen yet, but you definitely want to make sure that you're in range for him to auto attack. Otherwise, your melee DPS is going to get bonked on the noggin. Okay, we have another Submerge coming, then Incorporeal are going to probably spawn in once we are back here and dealing with the DPS, or with the Infusers. Oh, there's an Incorporeal over there, but he despawned because we went further away from him, I guess. Okay, I think there was the Warrior with me. He just leaped into the wrong direction, I think. I don't really know what exactly happened to them. Yeah, he leaped into the other direction, and I don't know what he's doing, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm going to interrupt this. I need to stop charging at these. I'm going to knock it over in that direction so they can come over to me and help me deal with this. Or not help me deal with this, but so I can cleave them down together. I'm going to use Incapacitating Roar, interrupt both of those inundates. That's good. You have an inundate that's going to go off over there. Never mind, the evoker's dealing with it. We're going to hibernate that. This is going to die before it casts anything else. We're going to kick this, and we have a knockback to deal with the inundate once it starts casting it. I still don't know where the warrior is. The warrior's over there dealing with some emotional trauma or something. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but they're way over there and they're not helping with the boss. So my Smurf warrior that I invited into the group is just lost in the sauce. Here come the infused globules. We're going to move over to the side. Oh, there, the warrior decided to join us and walk back into the boss and take damage for no reason. There we go, Mythic Halls of Infusion, stones can't fly. I guess I collected enough of these flight stones. Let's see if we get anything we need from here. We get no loot. We have been very unlucky with the loot, like it hasn't been dropping for us at all. And none of the loot that these guys received is anything that can help us. Anyway, I feel like I didn't do a good job of explaining what happens in this dungeon because I kept talking shit about the other people in the dungeon, and I'm sorry about that. I just get frustrated sometimes when people are just doing random stupid shit that doesn't need to be done. Or if they're not doing stupid shit that does need to be done, like mechanics, you know? Anyway, I'm going to stop being salty. I'm going to just leave now. So a little recap of what we did in this episode. We did a Vortex Pinnacle. I edited through most of that, just kind of skipped through it. We got a necklace upgrade from it. It was a pretty smooth run, so nothing to really complain about. Then we did Neltharion's Lair. It was a little bumpy. People kept standing in front of enemies that have frontal attacks, and that was a bit annoying, but I think that's kind of the name of the game in low-keys, where people don't know how to position properly. It wasn't a big deal. I don't think we wiped a single time. And I also got a Mark of Dargrul upgrade from there. I got a champion tier Mark of Dargrul from a red paladin that thought he didn't need it, even though he had a worse trinket. But I'm not going to argue with him. I rolled a 69 against some other people who rolled less than that, so I won it. It was pretty nice. After that, we did a Halls of Infusion. I feel like I didn't get to explain everything I wanted to explain, and the things I did explain, I don't think I explained as clearly as I would like to. So I think I might do another full run commentary of it in the next time I clear it, just to make sure that I cover all of the bosses, because the bosses have some very particular things that I feel like people misunderstand how they work. So I'd like to address those in the commentary, just because I feel like I should do a commentary of every dungeon. In that same Halls of Infusion run, I got a little bit salty because I don't like being leap of faith in a way where it's clearly the implication is, hey, you're moving too slowly, you should pull more shit. Because I don't think I pull slowly, I pull methodically. There's a reason behind every pull I do. I try to make sure that people have cooldowns for the pulls, and I also try to make sure that I don't pull things that shouldn't be pulled together, like multiple groups of casters and things like that. That being said, I think I overdid it and I got a bit too salty for what was being done in the dungeon. I don't think people performed as annoyingly as I reacted to it. So I think there was definitely a bit of an overreaction, and I'm sorry about that. I hope that didn't spoil your viewing of the commentary. There was also a Smurf warrior in there that I kept joking about. He pointed out that he was a Smurf, right? And if you're not familiar with the term, a Smurf is basically, let's say, someone who is 3.3k rated or something crazy like that, and he's currently on a character that is geared for a plus 10 key, and he goes into a plus 10 key with other people who are at a plus 10 skill level. So he's a much higher, the implication is he's a much higher skill level than us. However, he kept standing in every goddamn mechanic in the dungeon, and also just didn't do much damage for someone who's supposedly that much higher skill level than the rest of us. So that was a little funny. I kept joking around about him in the run. I think for the episode after this, I'm going to go and try and do a normal raid of Aberrus. Hopefully, in that raid run that I do, I get a full set of tier, and I also get a few champion champion upgrade tracked upgrades for my gear, because there's quite a few veteran pieces that I still have that I would like to replace. At the very least, I'm going to get a bunch of Drake Crest fragments, which is going to be very useful. That'll cut down on how many plus 10 keys we have to do, and then I'll be able to push higher keys, probably something into the tune of 15s, 14s, something like that. We'll see after the raid how many upgrades we get and what we're ready to push at that point. Anyway, oh, my character's going AFK because I've been talking for such a long time. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in that next episode in the raid.